Welcome back to another episode of the North Star Takes podcast. I'm Bailey Paulicki. He's Jacob Liberta. We're a Minnesota sports podcast. So if you're a Minnesota sports fan, please subscribe to this channel. And if you're a Wild fan, give this video a like. We're going to be talking Minnesota Wild goaltending situation as it's been a little rocky lately. Cam Talbot with a couple rough starts against both the Winnipeg Jets and Florida Panthers. Kaapo Kahkonen has been playing pretty well for the most part, honestly, all season. And I think there's a discussion to be had here, Liberta, about obviously they've been kind of splitting them 50-50 ever since Talbot's come back from his latest injury. But do you think it's kind of getting to the time now where Kaapo should almost be getting more starts and be considered the number one goalie just based on the shakiness of Talbot? And Kaapo's young and he's ascending. Like, I don't know. I think this could be promising if you kind of give him the reins and see what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's for sure time for the Wild to have that conversation internally and really roll Kahkonen out there more often than a 50-50 split just because of Talbot's struggles. Really, Talbot has put together a sustained good stretch in the calendar year of 2022. So
Yeah.
I think Kahkonen's been pretty steady when he's played. And really, I think he's got to ride the hot hand. Goalies go through these kind of slumps and go through these streaks of games where it's just they're not feeling it. But hopefully Talbot can figure it out by the end of the year, just playing him a little bit less. And maybe he's still playing a little banged up, but I think, yeah, Kahkonen's going to get the majority of the starts, albeit I know, for instance, this last one against the Florida Panthers, like that's no easy opponent, and
Right.
that's a very Stanley Cup quality team. But at the same time, like if we want to get to where we want to go, that's the kind of team we're going to have to be able to beat or at least play decent against,
Yeah.
not just be a complete liability. So I think this is time to make that transition, and it sucks because I like Talbot a lot. I really do. I think he's been pretty steady ever since he got here last year. So
He was an
I'm a big
all-star.
fan. Yeah, he was an all-star this year for crying out loud. But it's sad to make this realization, but I think it's just time. What do you think, Bailey?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know. Yeah, I like Talbot too, and he's the veteran we brought in, almost in a Dubnyk like role, not to save the day, but just a veteran goalie that you brought in to kind of steady things after Dubnyk kind of fell apart here. So, but yeah, I think Kaapo's been better, and I want to make it clear too, like the Wild did not play well at all against Winnipeg. Like that's two just horrible showings in a row in Winnipeg, which is kind of uncharacteristic for this team. I mean, over the last couple of years, we've done okay against Winnipeg. So, kind of two uncharacteristic games in Winnipeg as of late. Florida at home. I mean, I was watching that game. We scored first on a Kaprizov goal, and I was just
sweet.
But the whole time I was just waiting for Florida to just break out because between Florida and Colorado, those are probably the two teams that I can think of that are truly better than the Wild. You get to teams like the Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, even the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like the Wild have done well against those teams this year. It's just Florida has completely outmatched us, and Colorado, while we took them to overtime and ended up losing in a shootout, I just think Colorado's got too much speed for our current team. But yeah, so I just want to make it clear, like the team has not played well the last couple games either. But when it comes to playoff time, you're going to play against really good teams, obviously, and we're probably going to have to face Colorado if we can move on from the first round. And you kind of need a goalie to steal you a game or two in the playoffs. And if Talbot's kind of letting in some easy goals, some cupcakes he probably should have saved, I mean, I think Kahkonen gives you the better chance of going out there and maybe standing on his head for a game and stealing you one when really the team did not play well. But say he only lets in one goal and the team can manage to score two, that's big time, and you need that in the playoffs. So, and he could potentially be your future. I know we have that Jesper Wallstedt, who's a really great prospect that we drafted this last season. So he won't be up for a while. But I mean, Kahkonen could be your immediate future here within the next several years to kind of be the guy. So,
sure.
And Talbot by no means is not worthy of playing. I think he still needs to get mixed in there, but maybe more so than a 50-50. It needs to be like a 60-40 or 65-35 split with Kahkonen getting more run. So I mean, yeah, it is tough because Cam Talbot's a fan favorite, but it's just I think it's time, man.
Yeah, totally. I really like. I mean, we could reiterate this all day that we really like what we're seeing with Kahkonen, especially of late. And like you said, he's a very immediate future I mean, or immediate, yeah. Well, this year and the next year or two, I'd say beyond this,
Yeah.
as far as being hopefully our number one goalie. But at the same time, you just got to hope too that Talbot can bounce back out of this, just take a little time off, maybe recover a little bit more. I don't know what exactly you need. Sometimes you need some time off, but
Yeah.
and just to collect yourself. But because we are going to need him eventually, I think. But at the same time, for now, I think Kahkonen's more than capable of playing the majority of the games. And like you said, it's going to be important we get down to those ones you have to have, and maybe you could steal a game. It's like last year, we never would have won 7 games against Vegas if it wasn't for the goaltending from
Yeah.
Talbot. Like for instance, that game 5, I think of all the time. It's like we were down 3-1, go to Vegas to basically get eliminated, but we have like 14 shots on goal in the game. We still find a way to squeak it out just because
Yeah.
our goalie played sensational, and so and you get a nice greasy goal in there, and you're fine. But
Hmm.
it's you got to have those. And right now, it's just Talbot's not at that level at this point, but he could be in the next couple months. But just got to ride Kahkonen as long as he can.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I've seen, some people are floating out stuff like maybe the Wild need to trade for a goalie. Marc-Andre Fleury's name's getting floated around just because he's on Chicago and they're terrible, and he's a
Yeah,
veteran goalie that might have something to add. So, I mean, what are your thoughts here? I mean, if you're trading for a goalie, then you're probably not playing one of these two guys we already have. So I don't know how you can really make room for a third guy if you're planning on playing both Talbot and Kahkonen still. So what are your thoughts on trading for a goalie? Do you think that's necessary? And do you think they really even need to consider that right now?
on the one hand, it's like Flower. He's got an incredible track record. Obviously, he's had a great career, and I think he's definitely got the really the veteran experience to potentially put a team on his back in certain situations and be able to be a Stanley Cup team goalie. But at the same time, at this point in his career too, when you look on the other hand and the season he's had so far, I I mean, albeit it's Chicago. Chicago is bad this year, but it's just
Yeah.
not his Vezina Trophy winning kind of really highlight reel, I guess you'd say, or
Mhm.
just performances in general. But I just don't know if it feels like a marginal upgrade compared to the two we already have, because I
Yeah.
think Talbot and Kahkonen, when they're just playing at the level you'd expect them to be, not even like playing out of their mind or something, like it's serviceable. I know Fleury's probably his ceiling's a little bit higher than those two, but at the same time, it's like, are you really going to tap into that ceiling, and how much is it going to cost you to trade for him? I don't know if it's
Right.
really worth it. So I'm kind of good with rolling the dice, or not rolling the dice, but we'll roll the dice on just riding with the guys we already have.
Yeah, and I'm with you too because I don't know. I would trade for a Flurry if he was cool being the third guy and
Yeah.
just kind of floating out. Are they still doing taxi squads? I don't even know if they're still doing that, but
I don't know.
a guy that would kind of have to float between like Iowa and here. Because with Talbot, you do have to worry about the injuries. So it's like, if you do trade for a third goalie, it's probably more of an insurance trade than anything. But, a guy like Fleury's not going to want to come in here and be the third string goalie. So you'd
Yeah,
probably have to look for a different option there. But
true.
that's probably about the only trade I would make, honestly, for a goalie is just an insurance option, just in case Talbot or Kahkonen goes down. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I don't
I
really
mean,
trust. I don't really trust who we got in Iowa right now. We got
yeah,
heck.
who is it right now? Because we just traded the Hamburglar.
Is there like a McIntyre? I want to say that one. That's one of the goalies down there. And then there's like Hunter Jones. Neither of which are fascinating. So
Man,
um,
if we get to that point, we run into whoever it is that's healthy between Talbot and Kahkonen into the ground.
exactly. So yeah, I don't. It's a tricky situation. I think they're still in okay hands, and obviously we're one of the best offensive teams in the league this year.
Sure,
But
that certainly helps your goaltending. But
and we've just had a carousel of defensemen too. Dumba's the latest to have been out for a while. Brodin missed a good chunk of time. Spurgeon missed a good chunk of time.
mhm.
Goligoski missed a little time. So you're having to play like Jordy Ben every single night. Although now that Caitlin Addison's back, we don't have to worry about that, hopefully.
Whew.
But yeah, Jordy Ben's been rough lately. So the rough defensive play doesn't help with the goaltending situation either. But it's just, it's a little bump in the road for the Wild, who have mostly had a pretty dang good season. So um, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it overall, but I do think there's definitely the conversation to be had about who needs to get more run in the net.
Yes, for sure. And I think being the way Bill Guerin is, and the way we trust him, and knowing that Dean Evanston's a good coach, I think they probably already having this conversation. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think the fans are really acknowledging it right now too. So
yeah, absolutely. So this will be interesting to keep an eye on. Obviously, we're about a month out from the trade deadline, so still some time to figure out what's going to happen in there. But until then, that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Like I mentioned earlier, please give this video a like, help us reach other Minnesota Wild fans, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Feel free to give us a follow on both Twitter and Instagram and leave your comments below. What are your thoughts on the Wild's goaltending situation? Do you think Kahkonen needs to play more, or do you think they maybe need to make a trade for a legit number one goaltender? So let us know your thoughts below. And until next time, thanks for watching.